The New World Order, the alien connection. This awareness indicates the New World Order is part of the alien agenda, promoted by those Greys from Orion. The purpose being to set up the world for its future inclusion in the Orion Empire. This awareness indicates that while it is planned, it is seen that the Galactic Federation, which includes the Pleiadians and the Vegans and the Sirius groups, are all also concerned and hoping that the Earth does not become part of the Orion Empire or the Draco Federation. This awareness indicates that they prefer to see the Earth become part of the Galactic Federation. This awareness indicates that the Earth is in a particular position in the galaxy and has a special value in regard to the minerals in the water on the Earth, as well as the central core computer that was placed under the Earth's surface by Orion overseers from the past, when they in ancient time had great control over the planet, and they wish to restart that computer and reclaim the planet as their own and their network. This awareness indicates that there has been a number of extraterrestrial cultures who have, in the past, made claim to the planet, and who have either abandoned those claims and gone elsewhere, or have lost control of their property through war or other conflicts, so that at present time there are disputes among these extraterrestrial cultures as to who really owns the Earth. This awareness indicates that it is not clearly defined, even though there are certain cultures that would have entities believe that they are the true owners of the Earth. The reptoids data claim back some 10,000 years. The Sirius groups claim to have taken control from the reptoids, and the Pleiadians claim spiritual connections with humanity. The Vegans see the Earth as not theirs but as an ally to which they wish to assist and join the struggle against tyrannies from other extraterrestrial cultures. This awareness indicates the Orion Greys, the tall big-nosed Greys, are those who claim some kind of ownership based on their having placed a computer in the subterranean levels of Earth, which has guided energies on Earth through grid lines and through certain forces that were used through these grid lines and through their economic controls that have been handed down over the hundreds and thousands of years that time up till the present. The Orion Greys appear to be in a position of economic power wherein they are more powerful economically, and thus hold control over other extraterrestrials, such as the Draconians and the Zeta Reptilians. This awareness indicates that the small Greys, or those of the Zeta Reticuli, are basically mercenaries under the domination of the Draconians, the Draco Reptiles, which are subservient to the Orion Greys, even though they have greater military power and greater force. The Draconian forces have the ability to take control away from the Orion Greys, but the Orion Greys are such good managers of planets that the Draco Reptoids do not envy them of their job, and therefore, let themselves be the military arm of the operation, while giving the economic and political control to the Orion forces. How the Orion Empire is preparing our world for takeover. This awareness indicates that if you consider that the Earth is being made over to fit within the Orion Empire and the Draconian Federation so that it can become a galactic annexation, where it is annexed into the Galactic Federation and Orion Empire, then you understand why the corporate heads would also need to be part of this. You understand that the New World Order is being directed by these extraterrestrials to make the world, the Earth as you know it, into a kind of a planet that fits within the agenda of the Orion Empire and the Draco Federation through the control of the corporations and the governments. The plan by these Draconian and Orion Masters is eventually to get rid of all governments and simply have everything under corporation controls. This awareness indicates that this gives them a complete hierarchical system for the ultimate type of dictatorial control. As long as there are governments, they see the governments as being wasteful and inefficient, but they see corporations as having a built-in hierarchy which allows the employees of all these corporations, which includes all of the masses on Earth, to be well controlled by the corporations. Thus, each entity in a corporation would be loyal to that corporation, similar to the behavior of ants or beehives, where there is no room for any switching from one beehive or one anthill to another. In other words, entities would belong to the corporation. The entities, once in a corporation, would have family that also belongs to the corporation. This is the ultimate plan or agenda for the Earth as seen by these extraterrestrials. An electronic chip to be implanted in the hand of entities. This awareness indicates that there is seen that strong potential for each entity to receive a chip in his or her hand, or in the forehead. This chip is more than an identifier of the individual. The chip would contain all of the information available about the entity. In fact, it would contain approximately 400,000 bytes of information on each individual and would list also all of the entity's past records, family relationships, studies, activities, health information, what the entity buys, what the entity reads, etc., all according to what occurs when the entity passes the chip over the scanner at supermarkets, so that a running, continuous record occurs and adds more facts and information to the entity's ever-growing database of information. This chip is that which would be put on the right hand or on the forehead because it is seen as being comprised of a lithium battery, and the lithium would be activated by heat, and the right palm and the forehead are the two areas of the body that have the right kind of heat for the lithium batteries. Identity chip to be implanted by needle. This awareness indicates that the identity chip that will be implanted in the hand or forehead of entities will be implanted with a syringe or needle. It is so small that it can pass through a needle used for injection into the hand or into the forehead. The reason for the right hand or forehead being used is not to match with the prophecies of the Book of Revelation, but because the right hand and the forehead are areas of the body that can be used with the scanner and also which have sufficient heat to keep the tiny lithium batteries of the identity chip charged up. These lithium batteries are activated with a certain heat level, which the hand and forehead can deliver. The identity chip is capable of holding almost 500,000 bytes of information and will record and give back information on everything an entity does from birth through death, including whatever the entity buys, whatever the entity reads, or purchases to read, so that at any time, the identity chip can be used to monitor the inner secrets of an individual. This awareness indicates that this is not the same thing as the mark of the beast, although it well could be. The so-called mark of the beast will be a kind of product code symbol as used on products with the lines of code. This is a kind of brand on the people, wherein each will be individualized with just enough information to identify the entity at any of the more common screening devices. This awareness indicates that this is the so-called mark of the beast, and the identity chip is a far more sophisticated device that can be used to give detailed information on all levels about the individual. Along with this, there is another consideration that entities need to be aware of. Once injected into the body, the identity chip can't be removed. This awareness indicates, of course, there will be entities who will try to take these out. But in the process of trying to extract these chips, they will also damage the chips and cause the same kind of toxic release, so there will be many who will suffer from this in physical sense as well as in the spiritual sense. Those who do not take the chip are likely to become outcasts in society, but this will be far better than accepting the chip and the consequences spiritually and physically that follow. Reject the chip and you will lose all worldly possessions. This will mean that many entities will lose their worldly possessions if they do not accept and take the chip, the mark. It is a choice that entities will be required to make at some point. It is part of the New World Order programming and planned population control. Government agencies already using this system. It appears that this system can collect the data, alter data, and read data on any individual by those forces. The intelligence agencies that use the system. It is used by NSA, the CIA and the FBI in the United States. It is used in other countries, and anything one country has on its citizens can be read from any other country, so that it becomes a worldwide network for information relating to individuals that purchase from credit cards. Anything having to do with their banking, their purchasing, and their health and medical records. Anything that goes on any record for computer purposes can be tapped by various agencies, either private or governmental. This awareness indicates that when the chip is placed in entities' hands or foreheads, the information will become even more automatic and easy to acquire. because it will automatically be sent to these mainframe computers as soon as entities make a purchase at a retail terminal. This awareness indicates that when the New World Order is fully in operation, it is most likely that cash will be taken from society and only paper or electronic records of business and economic transactions will be recognized or legal. What can we do to stop the New World Order? Spread the knowledge. Knowledge is power, and knowledge can help entities to better improve their lives. Entities can help others to have more power also, and the empowerment of the masses is essential in throwing off the yoke of tyranny. Entities who are not aware are simply uninvolved bodies, and they contribute nothing to or nothing of value to the ending of the crisis, or to the resolution of the crisis. This awareness indicates that each entity, by being aware, adds to the power of the masses. These are the main things that are stopping the New World Order planners. They are desperate, trying to find ways to diffuse the information coming out against them. They are also trying to find ways to disarm the militia and the citizens of the country. This awareness indicates that entities should not despair, for there is an enormous numbers of people whose interests lie in preserving the good life for each other, and those who would enslave the masses are very few, and though they have many who work for them, do so more out of fear than out of desire. They do not desire to enslave their fellow associates, but will do so because they are afraid that if they do not, they themselves will suffer greater ills. This awareness indicates that gradually, as the masses awaken, they begin to recognize who their true enemies and oppressors are, and as these masses awaken, those who reside in positions in between will come to recognize the power of the masses as being greater than that of the masters, and their allegiance will change, not to support the masters, but to work for the masses. This awareness indicates that it does appear that this should not be construed as telling people that they can forget and relax, that all is well, for all is not well yet. This awareness indicates changes occur, decade after decade. They occur so slow and so subtle that sometimes entities are not aware of the changes until they look back over months, years or decades and see how much has occurred in the way of change. This awareness indicates that entities should not be discouraged, should not be depressed by the continual threats of conquest by those who would subjugate the masses, for this has always gone on in humanity, but there are always those shining moments and pages in history where entities have thrown off the yoke of oppression and found moments of glory and freedom and expression, and these have grown more and more frequent as the centuries have passed.